Aaryan, go ahead.
All right. A very bloated introduction. Yeah. Um, but anyhow, let's try and recover from that. Okay. So I think it'd be kind of apt to make this way more uh, kind of, you know, question answer centric because, I don't really have much to say directly, especially with respect to Olympiad preparation or anything, to be honest. Um, but I mean, I guess I can just brief about at least what all is there. You know. Um, so, okay, where should we begin? I mean, just as an introduction, I guess we can start. There's as far as Olympiads are concerned, there's of course the math, physics, chemistry, and astronomy Olympiads, which are the core kind of subjects. Um, and I mean, there's also stuff like informatics and everything, but generally it doesn't make sense to kind of start that right now. So I guess we can start. Just as an idea, can someone tell me like what exactly? I mean, because I don't want to make this technical or something, because that'd be kind of silly. So this is can someone tell me like what exactly do you guys know about Olympiads, KVP5? What do you think about JE and so on and so forth? Just any one of you.
I think Olympiads have like a really high, like you need to have really good conceptual clarity to be able to solve the questions, which I'm not confident enough to take with the J preparation.
Okay, fair enough. Anyone else? Maybe subject specific. You know, there's a big difference between math and physics chemistry. Okay, I'll just call out someone. Parijat, I guess. What do you think about it? Yeah.
Well, so I would say that in with respect to or chemistry or astronomy Olympiads, preparing for those Olympiads not only gives you a wider perspective on how the subjects will tend to grow as you delve into your college life, but also it helps you in your JEE preparation too, because having a conceptual understanding of something is always beneficial. It's always helpful to you in the long run as well, and for JEE exam perspective too. Math is a bit different in the sense that it doesn't have any direct implications or direct advantages on your JEE preparation, on your college entrances, but achieving something in math olympiads is always beneficial if you're applying outside or if you want to pursue math as an undergrad degree, because the topics would overlap and basically the skill set that you need would be developed using math olympiads.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think relating this with anything beyond though, anything in undergraduate is kind of a bit far-fetched. Like any kind of you know subject development, that's something you can highly respect, because at the end of the day, even though one might grow to have some kind of contempt, for especially towards the later stages, you kind of get a little bit dragged with it. But with JE or with especially with mains. But I think if you're truly kind of like the subjects you're doing, you know, yeah, like generally speaking, anytime I was kind of dragged with the subject, anytime I was kind of starting to lose touch with it, anything that was any kind of Olympiad that came up, irrespective of whether it was um, something like INCH or INMO or anything, or something a bit less known. Like I don't know who's heard of anyone, if anyone's heard of something like OPH or ELMO or something. So that kind of reignite you. You kind of remember why you started everything in the first place. I guess a bit romantic, but what do you do? That's how it is. Anyhow, So so whatever. Okay, I'll get to the point. This is just an introduction. It's true. Olympiads do require some kind of maybe a little bit higher conceptual clarity or something. But I mean, all that kind of stuff is relatively irrelevant, at least for physics and chemistry. If you're studying the subject, you're studying for the Olympiad. There isn't much of a difference. It's just that the only kind of substantive difference I can think of is like generally Olympiads happen a little earlier, especially for me. It was like 6 months before JE. So my syllabus wasn't all that well polished. So that's where a bit of a problem come in, but that's okay. For you guys, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Have you guys completed the syllabus?
We just have a bit of booklet left and a couple chapters in physics, but chemistry has a lot left in organic and inorganic.
Well, yeah, Chem always has a lot left. Yeah, even towards the end, it always has a lot left. Anyhow, so I'll start at least. Okay, let's just start with the technical aspect of at least physics, chem, and astro. So for physics, for the first round of all the three, physics, chem, and astro, you need it's kind of like JEE Mains, a bit nicer questions to be honest, but you need to be well polished with the. Go on. What? All right. So NSEP, NSEC, you need kind of a decent thing of speed, and but to be honest, it shouldn't be much of a problem for anyone if you're just well versed with everything. So I won't be talking much about them. You can maybe try out a few sample papers or something. This year, again, I think it'll be the IOQs. So it'll be like for an hour, maybe an hour and a quarter. So yeah, it's mostly the speed based. A bit of practice is almost all that you'll need, right? So, but getting to the subjective Olympiads, with astronomy, it is always kind of a bit of a thing where no one really knows astro. But then again, because no one really knows astro, the people who clear it are the same people who clear physics and chem. So it's just that maybe a bit of there's a book called Aaryan Clark. You can brush to that. Just to get used to spherical coordinates. I think there was a question on latitudes, longitudes this year. That'll be helpful. But just like a couple of days before the exam, not much is really required. You have to be kind of well versed with gravitation, of course, and optics for optical instruments. But yeah, for astronomy, it's if your physics is kind of strong, especially in those two areas, and you read a bit of Ryan Clark. I mean, I use that book. You can use any book you want. But so you should be good to go with it. Again, for physics, I've heard. Okay, well, physics. My physics only became a bit stronger towards the end, so maybe I shouldn't talk too much about it. But for physics, of course, Pathfinder is a great book, which I've heard that you guys have been doing quite a lot of anyhow. So Pathfinder is a great book. And actually, this is somewhat less, less kind of used, but reading helps quite a lot. I mean, I've always respected that, even though maybe I didn't do it as much as I should have. Reading in both physics, chemistry, anything, to be honest. I mean, the good books are very standard. HRK, of course, Harvey Rush McLean. Feynman's lectures, in chemistry, especially in chemistry, to be honest, Clayton's a great book. I use that a lot. In inorganic, of course, you guys have J.D. Lee, but there are a couple of others also. I think Cotton's pretty good too. But the point isn't to cover the syllabus or anything like that. Of course, it's at the end of the day, it's all it's a high school exam. You're not going to be asked things from a master's course or anything. So it's just about there's something about reading which I don't know how to describe it, but especially reading these relatively deep theoretical books kind of gives you a different thing, because most people that I saw did mostly going running through the problems and rather churning through them, to be honest. Um, and that's how the kind of cultures become, especially with the booklets and everything. But there is an aspect about reading which I deeply respect, which I think um, is beneficial for everything. It just gives you a different kind of view on things, which you generally don't get. I mean, of course, problem solving is the core to any of this. But I mean, but reading great books is also, I felt, kind of beneficial. So, uh, and that, okay, anyhow. So that's, where was I? Oh yeah, physics Olympiad. Yeah, I mean, of course, you need great problem books. You need a Pathfinder is a good one. Erudov Proto was against Staples. I mean, I didn't solve every single problem of any book. Okay, I'll be honest. But um, maybe except MS Chauhan or something like that. But uh, I just think that, yeah, I mean, the problems you encounter in Proto are something you don't see anywhere, to be honest. So yeah, any kind of diversity, any kind of variety, going somewhere where you generally aren't, used to anything outside your regular domain. I think, that's where that's what I think, at least, is I found to be, yeah, it's the right kind of challenge, it's the right kind of thing you need to do. So whatever. So anyway, I mean, I don't need to talk about the problem books that much because they are kind of standard, but um, generally, at least unless, you're like 2 weeks or something before the examination, uh, any kind of uh, constraining thing, is this relevant for JE, those kind of things, I kind of hated them. Whatever. So that's a brief overview of the, for astronomy, there was something extra. But for physics and chemistry, it's just your regular things, maybe supplemented by reading, and a few things like, for chemistry, don't even really need anything. For physical chemistry, I guess something like meters per hour would be a nice supplement. And for physics, of course, Pathfinder, and maybe Eurodot Proto, Proto especially. So, but yeah, really, that's all about it that you need to know. Going through past papers is of course a must. At least try out things. Like the last few INCSOs or CSOs. And you can, if you're bold enough, you could try out, the international ones too, and you will find them somewhat doable. It won't be looking like looking at an IMO, that's for sure. So anyway, I mean, I've rambled quite a lot, so I don't know what to say beyond this. Do you guys want me to cover math? I don't know.
Yeah, just a bit about math too.
Okay, I mean, it's a bit too, if you haven't started math, I mean, I know it's cliched, but it's generally too late to start now, that's for sure. But I mean, the thing is, still, if you, I mean, yeah, even doing something like PRMO or something is kind of probably a nice supplement right now. But okay, so math, I mean, these are the prospective 12th graders. You guys just, no, you guys will have this in a few months. So, okay. Well, I mean, math was something which was different from, of course, physics and chemistry for me, in that I'd already had at least a bit of experience till 10th. You know, I think I cleared my RMO in 10th, then failed in more couple of years until this one. So I mean, with math, you need experience, and it's a completely different thing. I haven't seen anything like the Math Olympiad at its later stages. Really no trace of it in any of the other subjects. It's a different thing. I mean, discussing about the format and all would be silly. You have around half an hour for each problem until the national level, and so but still, I mean, if you really, if someone's already invested in it, I mean, I used a platform called the Art of Problem Solving a lot, AOPS, even in 11th grade, actually, throughout it, even though I don't think most people knew. But I used it a lot, just going through context collections, trying out various countries' math, Olympiad problems, very, very half thought. It wasn't structured at all, you know. The way you study PCM here versus how you do it versus how I did it for Math Olympiad was totally different. Yeah, and it was fun though. It was of course a lot of fun. But if you really do want some exposure to it after not doing it, the best thing would of course be just maybe browse through a couple of InMos or something. That's probably just to kind of get an idea. Um, if you wanted a bit more JE centric, you could look at a few CMI ISI papers too. They're good. And if you're looking through them, you might as well look through. There's this guy called KD Joshi. He does commentaries on them. His book's also really nice. That's not for the Math Olympiad, but if you're looking at something like ISI or CMI, even I mean, of course, probably most of you won't be going there, but it's a nice thing to check out. KD Joshi's commentaries on them, they're quite nice. But for the Math Olympiad, it's generally you have to figure out what you can. Actually, for anything, just browsing through context collections, looking at problems, their solutions. Maybe trying to, I mean, I never really relied on books that much because the sense of the Math Olympiad, at least for me, was a problem solving and problem solving only, So yeah, that's what you do. You could there isn't
For Maths Olympiad, I barely missed MOCC merit cut off by 2 marks. I got 19 and 19, so cut off was 21 or 22. So last year, even though I prepared properly, I struggled to reproduce good results in the examination under pressure. So I just wanted to know what are the best contests that are available on Olympiad that can come close to reproduce something as difficult as an InMo, because last year I had taken 2 mocks, but both of them were prepared by Rohan Goyal Dada, and they were much harder than InMo. So when I solved those mocks at first, it was demotivating. So I need to take few contests as a mock before,
yeah,
so
fair
that
enough.
I can try to
Okay, yeah.
stimulate InMo.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I was in the same position as you pretty much last year. So at least what I did before INMO this year, I I mean, because if you really do have a theory within you, all you need is some kind of a brush up in the sense. Like I look through most of my old AOPS posts, the problems I've solved. If you have a notebook, you can do that. Some kind of getting it back, but there isn't like a structured way you can go about it, as far as I know. Yeah, I mean, work under exam pressure. Yeah, I mean, you just have to, that, I mean, there's not much. I mean, I can say about exam pressure because I never really took much of it. You just it was like a sport. You just have to do the best you can at that moment, at the very moment. Everything matters. Everything that matters is happening at that second. But for like, if you want, I mean, marks are. I don't think they'll be that useful. Just like I understand what you're saying. What do you do with the time constraint and how do you reproduce that kind of time constraint? I mean, if you really want to do just a math Olympiad, you could. Well, you must have seen all the InMos or something, so that wouldn't be a good idea. But you could generally, if you want, like Elmo is a nice competition. You could try and mark that. ELMO, have you heard of it?
Actually, I have done all problems from APMO, EGMO, IMO. I have tried mostly from 2000 to 2020, 21. So I have tried those contests. So now I'm in short of good contests. I did try few Taiwan TST, but I thought they were quite difficult for InMo, especially the geometry part.
Yeah,
And
no,
if you,
InMo doesn't even really require, I know, because TSTs, especially of, the higher countries are a bit much if you're just preparing for InMo. So, I mean, they're good for, of course, your intuition, but clearly what you lack is not theory or problem solving practice. So it's something else. So you'll have to figure it out yourself. What exactly is it that that's kind of holding you back, right? If it's just exam temperament, then you can build on it. That's very specific. How you build on it. So that's more of an attitude change. If it's about speed, that's also something you can build on. And that again has a specific kind of thing you can work on for. So I mean, accuracy is not really a big deal. So I mean, that'll be. So what exactly is it that you're lacking? If you just have to diagnose it, what will you say? Well,
Anurag,
yes, sir.
you can go ahead with other question.
okay, yeah, let's just make it into questions now. Yeah.
What do you think about the International Linguistics Olympiad?
I have no idea. Okay,
I was
fair.
thinking to participate in Panini Linguistics Olympiad this year, and I have gone through few syntax and semantics through few of the linguistics book undergraduate books. So I thought after few, I mean, there were few more topics to it, linguistics, and after that I should start trying out a lot of problems. But it seems that I have less time. It's in February somewhere.
Well, I've never tried linguistics, of course, although of course I've heard of it, and I know people who did it, but and I'm generally never like it's all right if you want to try it out, but you'll have to see. I mean, I can't really. I've never prepared for it, so I have no idea.
Okay, thanks.
Well, also, why exactly are you doing linguistics? Yeah, how did it kind of how do you come across it?
Uh, so I was doing few problems in, there were few problems that were posted as math puzzles. They weren't really math puzzles. They were just being just puzzles of linguistics. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to know a general category of it. And afterwards, I saw Ritam Nag post a similar problems. He was one of the Indian members at this year's
Yeah.
IOLT.
I know that.
He got fourth place something. So I did ask him few months ago how to prepare for it, and I am slowly preparing for it.
For
it seems really fair to a contestant in comparison to IMO, IFHO, ICHO. There is a good chance that a problem may require something that is extremely technical or something that requires a lot of deep theory. For example, we frequently see that in USC TSTs where they use something really deep in number theory or geometry. However,
Yeah.
IOL just seems like more fun because it's fair to all the contestants. It does not require something that requires a good knowledge of linguistics.
Yeah, it's puzzle solving. I know. Yeah, I know. I mean, I remember looking through a couple of papers way back in the day. I don't know. I mean, there are technically there's a lot of Olympiads. There's philosophy. You know, for instance. But at the end of the day, I mean, if you really do want to pursue it, you could try it, but there are a couple of restraints. Like, for example, if I remember correctly, you have to travel to Hyderabad if you want to give the second round or something. So I'd be a bit careful. That's why I didn't give it, because there was quite a bit of travel involved. So there is a constraint of being practical too. So as far as I know, Rhythm never considered giving JE or anything like that. He was quite determined on going abroad, right? So, everything has to kind of consider. You have to make a final choice. So I don't know. But if you really are kind of interested in it, I know. And the most important thing is like there isn't a craze for it as far as I know. There's quite a few, like around 500, 600 people participate, right? Every year. I don't know the statistics, but it's somewhat, it's less, the barrier to entry is a bit lower and so on and so forth. So, but still, you'll have to make a call on it. I can't say much. I've never done it. So,
Okay, thanks.
yeah.
Hi, Aryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, for chemistry Olympiad, I mean, for the theory part, did you use anything else apart from your normal JE notes?
Yeah. So for theory, I would say for physical, it's a good thing to use Atkins. You get a book. He's written a book on physical chemistry. I don't remember the exact name, but search it up. You'll find it. It's a good book. For organic, I use Claydon primarily. Although for organic, there are a lot of good books. I mean, I really love Claydon, but Finar is a good book. Peter Sykes, any of them. You just need for organic, there's a different kind of intuition required, and these books are a great resource for that. And like, as for intuition, just for example, getting something like relative rates and what kind of nucleophiles, if there are different what do you call it, leaving groups scattered in a molecule, where is it more likely to attack? What kind of ring opening happens, when you have cyclopropane or its derivatives, and in what kind of solvent, and so on and so forth. So getting organic intuition is very necessary, and generally books like Claydon do kind of open you up to it. Then for inorganic, it's not that necessary, but JD Lee is a good resource. It's all you need. Yeah. And just supplemented with past papers should be more than enough.
So for the subjective questions, I mean, did you practice anything else apart from the past question papers, or that is enough?
No, actually, I had zero practice. I don't even think I practiced past papers. I was very new to all of this, especially physics and chemistry. I had no idea. So, yes, past papers is a good idea, and that's all you need. If you somehow manage to exhaust them, there's an infinite supply of past papers in that. Looking at a couple of ICSO papers is probably, you get a decent thing, it's preparatory problems, but that's if you make it to camp and so on and so forth. But past papers till now, along with your base of JE and these books is enough.
Another thing regarding KVPY, I wanted to ask you
Mhm.
that in section 2 of KVPY 12 standard, I guess we are given an option to select only 2 subjects out of PCM, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, do you have a special choice, matlab, which 2 subjects we should typically attempt in such cases?
I chose math and chem. Um, Chem is almost always a good idea. I mean, unless you're like really awful at it, chem is a good idea. It's not going to be that hard. And if you're solid with chem, you'll save time. Time is a big problem in KVPR.
Yeah, exactly. So, chem
Yeah,
does save time, doesn't it?
chem saves time. And depends
Okay.
on whether you're good at math or physics. Math will take more time. That's granted. But it really just depends on your choice. I mean, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, most JEE aspirants choose physics and chem for time purposes. But I mean, yeah, chem should be a staple. Math and physics can vary. If you're bold enough, I guess you could choose math and physics too. But just yeah, overall, chem is a good choice.
Hi, Aryan. Basically, this is more related to JEE. I'm facing a bit of problem in the electrostatics and magnetism part in physics. Like, I'm not able to get that intuition for problems I need to solve. So, what would you recommend for it?
Okay, so most of the times I found is if you're not able to get intuition from problems, their practice, uh, and you attended the lectures too. Being present in a lecture is generally a good idea. It kind of with just reading, with just reading notes, for example, won't. But beyond that, you could try Feynman's lectures. They're on the Caltech website. They're a good resource. Just to read through them. Or there's also the I don't know if you've heard of it, but MIT's OCW series. If I remember correctly, EM was really good. I mean, I found it really useful. The thing on inductance and so on and so forth. I never faced much of a problem in electrostatics per se, but generally, if you use beyond SRK, if you use just read through Feynman's lectures once, or what do you call it, MIT's OCW, maybe look at that booklet or something. They generally have like 30-40 pages of content on any particular subject, so you can try and read that. That's generally more than enough.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aryan, well, I have a series of questions. Firstly, I would like to inquire about the rather binary nature of chemistry Olympiad. I mean, how do you exactly go about solving questions about which you haven't done the theory, like about which you don't know? Well, what alternatives do you have? Like in mathematics, there is nothing you know, so everything has to be done from scratch. But
Yeah.
in chemistry, you have to have some certain prerequisites in the Olympiad, and if you don't, then how do you attempt such questions? Or it's just best to leave them and not waste time?
In chemistry, prerequisites. What prerequisites? As in for example, in which organic, inorganic, or physical?
Both. Physical, nahi. Physical is fairly logical. That's
Yeah.
an exception. But organic and inorganic, you have to do the theory, right?
Okay, the first thing, in INCHO, there's almost no inorganic cast. In my year, there was no inorganic cast, like zero, literally. Maybe a bit of coordination commands, but yeah, and the inorganic that is asked is almost solely from coordination compounds. So, and that is fairly logical, right? I'm talking about 2021 INCHO. And for organic, yes, there are a few prerequisites. That is true, but they aren't that heavy. Like, I mean, if you look at the past problems, you do need to know, like, I think the big organic question this year was on esters or something. And like everything you needed to know, which might have been a little bit, which you might not have encountered, all of it was present. It's not, they do take good care to make sure that everything, yeah, it's not about knowledge. They try and make it as separated from knowledge in every Olympiad as possible. So I don't think you should face too much of a problem. But if you do see something completely alien, yeah, it's probably a good idea to leave it. In chemistry Olympiad, time would be a factor, by the way. I mean, it was brutal. So this year.
Okay, sure, I see. Well, secondly, my query would be regarding preparing for the Math Olympiad in class 12. Like, just for perspective, I have background in Math Olympiads, so I don't need to do it from the basics, but like I have totally lost touch with the Math Olympiads considering the JEE preparation in class
Okay.
12. So, yes, like it's mostly physics and chemistry intensive in class 12. So I would like to know how you went about preparing for INMO and stuff in March 2021, like in your class 12, and like what
Yeah.
exactly did you do in the month following up to the INMO?
So,
Same is the case with me actually. I'm not sure if I should
hmm,
prepare for INMO this year. I got 19 last year, so I missed the cutoff for INMO awardee.
yeah, by two, I know. This year was 21, I think, for class
Just
8 to
only one.
11. Yeah. Yeah. So, um, to be frank, I prepared for almost no examination. I mean, any of the Olympiads, except for a couple of days before. Even for INMO, like all I did was 3-4 days before. I just kind of just to get in touch with the stuff that I was fluent at. I just looked, as I said before, I just looked through my 400-500 AOPS posts. The problems I generally knew, the theorems, stuff like in number theory, ITE, or orders, primitive roots, stuff like that, that I was already quite familiar with. There's obviously no point in learning anything new in Math Olympiads this year. It's going to aid you not one bit. So, yeah, just make sure that the stuff you're familiar with, you have the tools you require to apply it. That's all you can ask for this year. And beyond that, it just depends on what happens during this 4 hours. Yeah.
Actually, for Math Olympiad, I have not done geometry for a very long time. So I have lost touch with geometry. Now, last INMO, I actually wasted quite a lot of time on problem 5. And I could not make reasonable observations to solve it. So I have decided to abandon geometry and just focus on combinatorics and number theory. Because if you see past few years, I think so combinatorics and number theory have almost 3-4 problems, and perhaps algebra except inequalities. So do you think that's reasonable given I prepare for combinatorics, number theory, algebra properly?
See, I can't say it's unreasonable because I did the exact same thing, but yes, um, I would say at least try it, but stick with what you're familiar with in Math Olympiads, and use your intuition, both general and mathematical, in any exam. So if you really do feel that you have no chance of geometry, I had no chance of geometry, and I knew that from the very beginning. So I did leave problem 3 and 5. So but if, for example, 2020's problem 1 was quite easy, which I probably could have solved if I would have given some time to it. So it depends, it just, no one can kind of handhold you anywhere, right? You just have to trust yourself and see what you can do at that very moment.
The only geometry problems that I can probably solve within 1.5 hours are those American geometries where you usually use inversion, do projection, projective geometry, and do all the. But however, I struggle to solve problems that are angle chase intensive. That's why I decided to give up on geometry, because if you look at INMO, I don't think so. Any problem that has rigorously involved projective geometry or inversion. Probably one problem in 2019, but other than that, it is just angle chase intensive. I am not able to do those problems quickly. That is why I thought to give up.
No, yeah, fair enough. I won't say give up, but if you really do feel that you have no chance, then it's the right thing to do. But yeah, that's with anything. That's not just with Math Olympiads. If the day before your JEE, if your EM is weak, if your electromagnetism is weak, you just don't get the EMF problems, whatever, the induced ones. it probably doesn't make that much sense to spend too much time on it, especially in a exam where you have shortage of time. And in InMo, you do have a shortage of time. At least I felt that, especially 2021. Oh my God. But whatever. So yeah.
Also, do you suggest reading graph theory in details because of the last year's problem and 2019 RMO problem? I actually missed the graph theory part and tried inducting or something, and then it became a fake solve.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't read graph theory yet, and if you aren't familiar with it, then I would not suggest it. Again, especially in 12th, no. Maybe the good thing about graph theory is that you can logic it, like in the sense that it doesn't require too many prerequisites, maybe like Turan's theorem or something. But if you have your base set, you won't need to go too much. You won't need to have too many tools or too much firepower, unlike geometry. So I don't know. It's context
I did read a good bit of DSTL after InMo, but I haven't done combinatorics in a really long time. Not even graph theory. I haven't done it in a long time. I did read a good bit of DSTL and solve few graph theory problems after joining Otis.
Well, so I mean, I can't really say, again, I can only, point in the general direction that it's unless you are confident in any subject, then it makes sense to go after. But otherwise, it's only up to you. I mean, I can't say much beyond this.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, well, also, just in continuation with that, I remember you, like in math Olympiad classes, etc., you would mostly be analytical minded and more geared towards number theory and algebra in comparison to soft skills such as geometry. So, well, on the other hand, I am perhaps the polar opposite of that. I am more geared towards geometry. So, how would you exactly suggest that I go about exploring these hard bound topics in the sense that they are being more prioritized in the most and in basically math Olympiads all over the world?
Andy and Combi, combinatorics is of course being prioritized more and more. Yeah, I mean, I've never been in your position, so I can't say that much, but yeah, these are way too personal. I don't know, man. You'll have to figure it out. Yeah, but no, man. It's been 2 geometries almost every year, so I don't think it's that bad. There were 2 geometries this year too, so.
Yes, so I see basically, so there's not much difference in what I can do to prepare. And also, on the whole, I think with math Olympiads, the most you can do is practice.
Yeah. That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Okay, and well, a few last questions in with regards to JEE again now. Like, how would you suggest us trying to memorize or get a feel for the concepts which involve heavy rote learning or, in a sense, mugging, like in organic or inorganic, particularly, and some like conic sections in mathematics, where you need to have a grasp of the properties, like all the various properties that conics exhibit.
Well, I'll be honest. I almost never did any rote learning for anything. Like it just, if you're surrounded by it for a long enough time, you get it. Like especially in math. Like I know, people do try and remember formulae for something like SOT or for coordinate geometry, but it just comes to you most of the time. If you practice enough with it, I don't think anyone should have a problem with them. And I know, like for organic too. I mean, I don't think there's any rote learning in organic. You need a few basic things, to develop your intuition with. But you do them enough. I don't think it's that rote learning intensive. I mean, I never had to cover my palms and you know what the traditional thing is, right? You cover this thing and then you try and read out and match or something. I mean, I never had to do that much of it. Maybe in a few chapters like chemistry and everyday life for mains, but you know, I just know that you'll probably get it if you spend enough time around with it. It'll come by time. You shouldn't be too nervous about anything like that. You know.
Regarding the part one of chemistry Olympiad, the MCQ round, I mean,
Yeah.
how does the organic chemistry go compared to the JEE advanced level? I mean, is it at par with it or slightly
It's lower.
lower?
It's
It's
lower.
lower.
Yeah.
So it goes the NCERT way mostly.
Um, look, I'll be honest. Even for the chemistry Olympiad or for anything, the content in NCERT in chemistry is generally around sufficient. Like maybe for a few things in organic and inorganic, there are a few reactions, and unless it's explicitly mentioned out of syllabus, um, the content in NCERT should be around sufficient, you know. But it's just that the intuition required or your understanding should be significantly deeper than what NCERT has to offer. So, I mean, I won't say anything is NCERT level. Even like an exam like PITSAT is not NCERT level because NCERT is it's a book of theory. You know, it just provides the base content you need to know. That's all. Because in chemistry there is some base content you need to know, and like there are facts which you need to be aware of, and so on and so forth. So, but yes, you won't find it too challenging if you have done organic, if you've attended the lectures and so on and so forth. It's maybe a bit around JEE mains, I guess. Maybe a bit over, but a bit over because there's a section on multiple answer questions or something, which can be a bit annoying. But maybe, yeah, a bit over, I guess, from JEE mains. But yeah, somewhere around that level, yeah.
I mean, also like with respect to NCRT, like if you actually go through it, I think you obviously know this, but once you go through it, you'll find that most of the like NCRT is just a base for what you can learn in depth. Like they just give you some basic information regarding everything and perhaps expect you to delve deeper into whatever they have explained. Like they don't basically explain it like a guidebook and something that you can carry that you can follow along as such. It's just a random fact spread all over the place, and you need to know about everything. So how exactly would you suggest starting it? So like should you read each line and then go deep into it, like in the if you just read a reaction, then should you just enter into the mechanism and everything, or do you just saying that first you should read the entire book and make note of all the facts and figures and then perhaps go deeper?
Look, I'll be honest. I didn't touch NCRT until like a few weeks before JEE mains. So I don't know. I don't know how you use it as a textbook. Because I wasn't even off the board. I didn't. I mean, I was. My board was A levels. It wasn't. It was Cambridge board. So I had to refer to a different book for my board. So I didn't use it as a textbook. I just used it as a fact bank mostly. I mean, so I generally, most of that is condensed in the lectures and the, some of the books. There are books like Claydon is of course a very, it's a textbook book. It's a book which you used to learn, organic from scratch, and but I think just the standard, thing that most people do, it's standard for a reason, right? It's the lecture schedule, problem books people solve, and so on and so forth. That is generally the path people take because, yeah, I don't think there's that much use in using NCRT as a textbook early on. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I see. And lastly, my last question would be that how exactly did you go about, like, what was exactly your studying structure over the course of the 2 years? I mean, Did you just do the lectures, notes, and practice, or did you do anything additional? How exactly did you manage your time during this period? And what exactly did you do before the exams or tests, the intermittent ones?
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. This, I don't know if I should say it. I was very random. I didn't have a schedule. I didn't have anything. I just kind of um did what had to. Like I didn't um like just studying. No, like I mean, I was dedicated to it in the sense that I mean, it was important to me, to do the content and to do the problems and so on and so forth. Like I did attend the lectures, of course. Uh, but like in 11th, I spent quite a bit of time on things like AOPS and so on and so forth. So I wasn't structured, but you just have to be at it. I think that's way more important than any kind of structure, anything like that, or schedule. Like I didn't really believe in schedules too much. I didn't uh, guidelines or anything like that. You just, I think the most important thing is, you have to be at it, and you don't have to, you can't lie to yourself or something like that. So, um, be surrounded by it and so on and so forth. So that's at least with respect to studying. Like, I mean, it's just up to you. You have to make it. Whether you do it late night or not. I mean, I don't think any of that is really relevant. It just you just have to uh, be able to sleep enough at night. With what you've done. You can't be frustrated, for example, with yourself. Actually, it's fine. It's fine to be frustrated with yourself. I was very frustrated with myself a lot of the time. So that's okay. But, um, you know, so I don't think any of that is relevant. Like you mentioned intermittent tests and so on and so forth. I didn't, I didn't do much for them, any of them. Yeah. And I think it's a good habit to build, man. I know people who were preparing for major tests and AITSs and so on and so forth. And I didn't believe in any of that, because then you kind of get in a habit of of not trusting yourself, of having to, be strictly with details for everything. And there's going to be like 20, 30 important exams that you probably give. So it's silly to kind of get into that rut of, doing detailed things all the time before any kind of exam. So I didn't believe in any of that. I mean, people are different. I know that. So you just do what you think is right. I mean, but I think it's important to have just a solid base and have some trust in it. You don't need to go back and cram everything every night before every test. I don't know, because there'll be tests very, very frequently after a time. There'll be times when you'll have 3 tests a week, 4 tests a week, even though you don't want to get them, and you have to get them. That's how it is. And that's fine. So anything else that I missed, by the way? I don't know. You asked quite a detailed question, so I have an idea.
Well, like in respect to my queries and the ones that you answered yet, like you comprehensively addressed these issues. So I'm done with the queries. Thanks a lot for the.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
I had one query. So, what is a good score to target at for the KVPY theory paper, which we are giving in November this time, not Jan or Feb?
So no good score. It's it's in November. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
the theory is in November this time. Interview is different.
Okay. Oh, the interview is back. That's good.
Yeah.
So, well, okay. So for the theory paper, I don't know, man. Just, uh, I mean, you don't go with a score in your mind or anything. That's very poisonous. With with Olympiads, just, I mean, it's important. Just target all the questions that you can do. It's important to have a time sense, of course, but don't go with any kind of score in your mind. Every question has to be its own, and it has to be, you know, um, yeah. So don't look at a paper as a paper. It's a set of problems, and every problem is its own. So just forget a score. If you want marks versus rank or something like that, I can give you that. Like around 80 was rank 50 this year, 80 marks. But generally it's lower because we had it in Jan end. So people, of course, had quite a bit of time to polish up the syllabus and so on and so forth because they didn't have boards like me. I'm kidding. But yeah, and then I think around 75 or something would be 100 ranked 100 or something. I mean, I can send you. There is a marks versus analysis versus rank analysis, but those things are kind of trivial. You know, those are just to satisfy your post-exam curiousness. Those aren't for pre-exam. You know, generally after exams, you're kind of nervous about all of this. So those are for that. If you know have some time to kill, you can look at those. But after your exam, don't look at them before your exam.
Also, a last kind of unrelated like doubt I had, just a question. You had already cleared KPI essay in 11th and with a pretty decent rank. So, like, what exactly motivated you to go again in 12th?
I don't know. Like after a point, I guess these kind of things they become like a kick. You know, it's a kick. You know, and it's yeah. I mean, everyone's giving it, so there isn't really a rational reason or anything to it. You know, so I mean, there isn't for most of the Olympiads too. Like I know. If you clear the math Olympiad, you get into CMI and all that. But there isn't a rational reason. It's well, I mean, I always felt I was quite idealistic to be honest. I was quite you know but so I was like, you know, this is the right thing to do and so on and so forth. So and it is. I still feel it's the right thing to do, but I'm less idealistic, more jaded now. So, but still, I think yeah, it is the right thing to do. I mean, if you feel you should probably do it too, and it's okay. That's undeniable. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay, sure, thank you.
Okay. So I just remembered there's one small thing. Well, not small, but there is a thing that it's probably useful to touch upon. You know, there are I don't know how kind of deep you guys are in the community and so on and so forth, but there is quite an extensive, for example, community of you know, of course, math there is AOPS, but also physics Olympiad communities and chemistry Olympiad communities. Are you guys part of any of those? Do you know of them?
Not really.
No? Really?
Well, what exactly would you mean by communities? Like the ones on maybe AOPS or Discord?
Yeah.
Oh,
AOPS
well,
is quite silent now, but yeah, Discord especially. It's
yeah.
yeah.
I'm part of a few of them, but it's just like a namesake participation. I mean, I haven't really utilized my presence there.
Yeah, you shouldn't think of it as utilizing your presence anywhere. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So that's how I got to know of like most of these things, which kind of like I think yeah, like stuff like OPHO, which is Online Physics Olympiad. They have two rounds, open and invitational. Um, you know, a kind of Elmo. I mean, Elmo I knew from AOPS, but there's a pure math Olympiad. Then there's limits. Limits is quite a popular exam, relatively speaking, that ISI conducts, which you should give. It's very J oriented actually, harder but J oriented. So these kind of things. Firstly, they're fun, you know, and like I mean, I had like two. Yeah. So you get really dragged. I mean, sometimes. I mean, I'm not even kidding, you know. So I think this is like a nice way to kind of just rev it up, and it's exciting because it's always new, you know. Like I can send you the limits paper or something. I mean, Bharat sir has it, so maybe he'll send it to you. But those problems were completely in the JEE syllabus, but they were really quite interesting, especially the subjective paper. They have two papers, whatever. I mean, you can read about them if you want. So those kind of things, they are what kind of open me up. So you kind of get used to. Yeah, a lot of times what happens is when you keep doing these J mocks, AITS, and so on and so forth, they're useful. I mean, I'm not going to say they're useless, of course not, but you can't get used to them. J is not gonna, or any KVPY or anything is not gonna be. It's gonna be a bit different, And generally, it's good to have exposure to all these kind of fancy ideas, new kinds of ideas, new kinds of problems, and they're fun. It's a kick. Again, it's a kick. Yeah. So I mean, I can send you links of all of these things, which I got to know because I was, of course, part of the community or whatever. So doing those kinds of things, I mean, I thought it was worth it for sure. Just for the subject, or just for, I mean, it's kind of silly to say, what came in use where and so on and so forth. It's all together, It's like an AI. Your brain is like an AI. I'm sure. No, just something goes in and something comes out. That's all. So I don't know. So those kind of things, just having an exposure to them, uh, you shouldn't shy away from it, Yeah, those kind of things, where I have this or I have that. I always found it quite poisonous, to kind of have that mentality towards it, because I mean I always enjoyed any kind of um, anything that was beyond the ordinary, I mean, of course, at this age, of course, you have this kind of thing to rebel or whatever, you know, and this is a good way to cash in that rebellion. I don't know. So, if you want the names, I mean, the names won't mean anything to you probably, stuff like SCHO or LPR or something like that. But I can send you like a links to the website via Bharatsa if you want, just to check them out, or maybe the links to the communities more importantly. I don't know. I don't know. So I mean, I just wanted to mention that because um, I think that was a big role, what kind of keeps you interested, things out of the ordinary. Like I always got sick of the same thing again and again. So this was, yeah, there was always something that offered a light of something unique, something different, which is important to me. Okay, questions, back to questions if anyone has them.
Ved, Devani, anyone? Adit, Ivan, regarding Olympiad or regarding JEE preparation also you can ask him. Though we are going to come after the results with many other students also. But if you have any queries at this moment, you can ask him.
So I have a query. Yeah. So hey Aryan. So like I in my JEE preparation I mostly tended to like math and physics a lot more than I like chemistry. So I wanted to ask you, what did you do to like gain an intuition in chemistry, like especially organic? Like what made you like the subject more?
Well, full disclosure, especially towards the end, I actually like chemistry a bit more than physics. You just it's something that builds, because chemistry requires a huge base for you to kind of do well in it. With 50% of your syllabus, you can maybe produce 10% of what's required. So you need so that's a big part. You need a lot of content for you to be able to sense things well. But for gaining intuition in anything, it's the same thing. You read, you reread, you solve problems. You know, MS Chauhan was a good book. You know, even though it's claimed as, you know, a really good book for JEE, but even beyond that, it's a good book. It's something you should pay attention to, which I think you guys have done actually. So I don't know. But you know, what else? How else do you gain intuition? It's just, have you read anything? Have you read any organic books?
No, nothing other than, well, actually, no, not much. Not for organic.
You should. Organic is probably the most important
So the
thing where you
books
have to
that you
read.
said we should read for the Olympiad, are those the same books you would recommend?
Yeah. It's the subject. There's no difference
Yeah.
between the syllabus of Olympiad and a JEE.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Which books would you like to recommend for physics Olympiad apart from Pathfinder?
For reading or problem solving?
Problem solving.
Protos? You read of Protos? Do you have them?
I have eroded.
Proto is a good one. It's very different kind of problems. It's a set of I think Russian physics problems, their Olympiad in like the late 1900s. So yeah,
And
anything Russian is probably a good idea. Anyway, go on. Yeah.
And how much time would you recommend to spend on each problem in physics?
How much ever you want. I don't know. You'll have to decide for yourself. I can't give you the answers to those questions. Those are the holy grail questions. I have no idea. It depends, man. It depends if you, in creative, it is sometimes necessary to spend 20 minutes, half an hour on a problem, you know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially the infamous problem, the one with the star and then, you know, if you've done creative, you'd understand. But yeah, like in Pathfinder, some of the chapters do have relatively straightforward multiple choice questions, which won't take you more than 5 minutes. But some of the longer check your understanding, CYUs, they would probably take you 15, 20 minutes, maybe. So it just depends, man. Use your general intuition, you know, which is a fancy name for common sense. You know, I don't know. Go on, sorry, you were saying something?
As per exam time limit, how much time it is?
Oh, for Einführung?
Yeah,
For?
IPH.
Oh, for IPHO. Well, IPHO had, I think, 5 or 6 problems in 5 hours. So IPHO isn't much of a time thing. But physics and chemistry are different than math in that you have very long problems in that with many, many parts. It's not one straightforward problem, right? So versus in Pathfinder, you generally find one-off problems, you know, just one problem straight. So it depends on a lot of things. You can look at the IPHO papers if you want a sense, and you can look at INPHO papers. INPHO generally has maybe 20 to 30 minutes per question, but the question, of course, has many parts. So, you know, it all depends. A lot of things. It's not a straightforward number I can put to it. But I mean, if a particular book, if you want, I can maybe give you an estimate, but don't be too bogged down with time, I would say, as for at least now.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Which all books did you use for inorganic? Theory and problem solving.
Inorganic for problem solving, I mean, a weak adjuster is a staple. I think, I mean, I used a bit of Vishal Joshi, I guess, in the end, last month or so. It really isn't that kind of, I mean, even, and of course the booklets, whatever.
Because MKCH sir recommended Ankit Agarwal over VK Jaiswal because it has lesser typos.
Yeah, I don't know. Which book? Can you repeat?
Ankit Agarwal. Ankit Agarwal,
Oh.
GRB.
I've never heard of it, so I don't know. Generally, for J especially, it's probably a good idea to not follow me, to follow what the teachers are saying, because um, if it DK just was, it was a solid book. So I mean, if it could be that Ankit Agarwal is better, but I mean, at least I can affirm that VK Jaswal is good. But you could, if MKCSR is recommending that, then I guess if it's better, then I mean, if it's inorganic, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Like, you know. Anyway, for theory, um, JD Lee is as a staple. I also used Cotton. There was this book called Basic Inorganic Chemistry by Cotton, which was kind of nice. I used it for coordination compounds or something. Yeah, I mean, in inorganic, uh, just the lectures and the notes and stuff are mostly going to be all right. Like, please don't pick up a book like Vogel, for example, for qualitative analysis. Don't go with the fat ones. Yeah, Vogel or Greenwood or something. Those are staple undergraduate books, but for inorganic, it won't make much sense. If you with only for something like coordination compounds where you do need to gain a little bit of intuition, would I suggest going for a little more expansive reading, which you'd find I didn't use yeah, but Cotton was good for that. But beyond that, just your you don't need too much. You know, sorry about that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Aryan. Regarding these Olympiad papers, I wanted to ask what your strategy was. Like, would you try to attempt as many problems as you could, or would you just pick a few and try and maximize your score in those?
Yeah, I mean, it was always a thing with me that I had to do everything. Yeah, no, I would never. I mean, I wouldn't exactly go by what I did, because what I did was very random, very chaotic. Because I didn't really have an idea of what I was doing at that point in time. I didn't know, I mean, except for math. I mean, math I was quite solid in, but I mean, I generally went bull in the sense that I tried to get everything, which is generally not always a good idea. Please don't take my words with a grain of salt, but that's what I did.
I have messed up a few times because of that. That's why I was
Yeah. No, so have I. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Bhavya, you have any query?
I'm facing a little problem in physics right now. I'm finding Pathfinder some questions also. I'm not able to do it really well. I'm taking time, or I'm not able to do it. So for basics, what should I do instead of booklet? Instead of after booklet, for basic questions, what should I do?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's natural to face problems with Pathfinder. It's not an easy book by any means. So there isn't much. You'll have to just fight through it, and maybe, do you have access to its solutions?
Doubt lectures are kept for us.
No, I mean, I meant, remember, there's a solutions forum on AOPS, solution of Pathfinder.
I know there exists one, but I'm not part of it.
Well, even the PHODS, I think for Discord servers have the like there are some meant for Pathfinder solutions exclusively. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah,
go to calls, you'll find them.
yeah, exactly. So you try and use that. Yeah, exactly. Those were the communities I was talking about. FODs, CHODs, and so on and so forth. PHODS or CHODS, MODS, and so on and so forth. So yeah, you could try and refer that, but there isn't much you can do. You just have to fight through the problems. And yeah, and the best I could say is try reading up on stuff. Try reading up on the things that you're facing trouble with. You know, maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll give you an insight that you otherwise didn't have. But there really isn't anything beyond that anyone can do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you please share the links which you were talking about related to maths problems in JEE syllabus?
Related to math problem.
I'm sorry, Aaryan, you can send it to me. I'll forward it to the group. It's a complete group actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any other query? Any student? Can we end this meeting? Aaryan, from your side, you want to say something? If I ask you something like, I mean, it's a question like, since I know each and every student in this batch, and I don't want to compare your batch with this batch. Actually, it's not good at this stage. But they're working hard. They are disciplined, and as like Anurag asked a question that in chemistry, instead of EKG as well, should we do this and that? And your question, your answer was straightforward. That I mean, EKG as well you've done and you've done well. So my question is like, what preparation of Olympiad, whether it is physics Olympiad and chemistry Olympiad, I'm not talking about maths Olympiad, including KVPY, including, online Olympiads. What Olympiads makes them better for JEE advanced preparation also?
Yeah, no, everything makes you better for everything. It works both ways. So it's true. It's not about studying for Olympiads or anything, right? It's just about studying the subject. And since the subject is the same, if you really are studying it for the subject and you're not studying it for, some JEE details or something. But yeah, it will of course it will kind of open up your mind and so on and so forth for JEE2 and the other way around, So yeah, it's true.
Okay.
No, yeah.
One more thing, like, like every national exam, which is very close to JEE advanced preparation, because the score group is for JEE advanced group only. So any exam which is very close to JEE advanced exam, which you have not highlighted yet, is there any list of exam you can send me so that I can send it to the people, like, they should apply for, and they will get benefit out of it, which they are aware of it or not aware of it. If they go through that list, they'll be benefited. Is there anything which you have missed out?
Yeah, there are quite a few. I can, of course, send you a list of them and where to find them. That's most important. Their websites or so on and so forth. Of course, I can send that. Yeah.
So fine. And one last thing I want to ask you, like, you said for your JEE main examination, and you had given all 4 attempts, though you got very good percentile in the first exam only. But only one exam you missed, I remember. You know, each and every moment I shared with you, I remember. like, one second exam you didn't appear, and because of the vaccination problem, you didn't appear. Was it second or third?
Third.
Third. You missed the third one. You appeared for each and every exam. What was the specific reason you appeared for all the exams?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I said before, it wasn't really rational, It was like, again, I was quite idealistic. So it seemed like the right thing to do. It didn't seem right to kind of shy away from it for some, yeah, I mean, I felt I was, betraying myself in some sense, I was almost cowardly to kind of shy away from it. It seemed, and there was a sort of a kick associated with these exams. And of course, the minor point, everyone says that there's some learning or something associated with each exam, which uh, is possibly true too. But that wasn't the reason I gave it. Like, it did happen to be true that every exam and every kind of thing was some sort of an adventure in the sense that something different, and that's what made it worthy. But that's not exactly why I gave it, even though it's true. It was more of it was idealistic. It seemed like the right thing to do, and um, somewhat emotional, because why not? Yeah, let's do it. It's a sport. It's a sport. There is it's a sporting aspect to it, which I don't mind embracing. So
That's great. Thank you very much, Aaryan. Thank you very much for guiding all the students and devoting your 1.5 hour to the children. And I'll call you back once after the result also to address the other children. Thanks for coming.